I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, but how often, so it looks like what he's trying to watch out for are the like of Chaos Spawn and Forsaken. You think that's what he's trying to play against Ulta?
I think so. It's a bit of a mind game, I suppose. Since they're
Yeah,
clanmates, they may have played some games with each other, so that's why maybe why he didn't bring any Blackhawks because he's probably thinking Houseplant won't bring anything like Chosen or Chaos Warriors or something. So it's like,
sure, sure.
okay, then Orc Biggins should deal fine with like Chaos Marauders or whatever other low tier stuff he brings. But it
Yeah.
looks like we have Forsaken on the field,
Who, by the
which,
way, really fuck big ones up. Um, I mean,
yes.
when we say fuck them up, I mean like way harder than they do those because these big ones have no armor, as you notice. They have 50 armor, which is nothing. It's absolutely nothing. And so these Forsaken will certainly be able to chew through those guys. Let me go through the Chaos list real quick because I very much like this Chaos list. I think it's very, very cool. What does he have? He has a very much a Forsaken core list. I gotta stop saying very, but he's got 6 of them, man. 6 Forsaken up in the front. They are being accompanied by a single Death Wizard on a Barded Nightmare down there, as well as a single Lord of something. Not exactly sure if he's a wizard. Doesn't look like it. Looks like a Chaos Lord on a Manticore supporting those guys in the air. For the rest of his troops, for his fast troops, the guys that are hitting the flanks, he's got 2 units of Chaos Knights with lances, 1 on each flank, as well as 2 units of armored Chaos Trolls. Going to be very effective here, even against the big guns, because of their armor. But again, the big guns with the anti-large may, in fact, prove too sturdy for these Chaos Knights. What do we got for the Orcs, man?
Okay, so for the Orcs, we have 2 Doom Divers. Surprise, surprise. We have a Goblin Big Boss on a Spider. And we see again the 6 Orc Biggins, which could be in trouble this game. We see Azak the Slaughter on a Skull Muncha, or is it Azak? Yes, it is indeed Azak, and we have the
Certainly is.
traditional Houseplant deck.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Of course.
We also see 2 Goblin Archers and a Savage Orc Rare Boys. Interesting choices, and they might do quite well if given time, but clearly they don't have enough time because already the Forsaken lines are getting in there as well. But other than that, we have Orc Boy Biggins with Goblin Wolf Riders on the right flank, and basically the same thing on the left. And I believe that's the build of the Greenskins.
I think it is too. And by the way, we notice here, I already like that decision from Chaos, from Houseplant here. Just being aggressive. He's like, oh shit, this guy's got Doom Divers. Let's just get the fuck up there. Let's not play around. Let's not try to do any of this crap where we're trying to snipe these Doom Divers out. Let's just get in there, get all of our troops into combat as fast as possible.
Well, that was good, but he didn't actually do it. He's
Yeah.
stopping here for whatever reason in range of the missile units and the Doom
Yeah,
Divers.
you're totally right. I have to eat my words right there as, yeah, you're very right. He's just stopping his Forsaken, allowing them to get shot by the likes of these Goblin Archers as well as the Savage Archers. Not the day that those Forsaken were planning to have.
Ooh, that lag though. And one of them already at half HP, the other is soon gonna get there as well. So these
Yep.
Forsaken really taking damage. Meanwhile, we're
Yep.
gonna have a cab engagement over here. Chaos Goblin Wolf Rider is gonna die really fast to Chaos Knights, but we should see some quicker support here from Greenskins because it's closer to their line.
That is true. That is true. I mean, by the way, he did look like he decided to take 1 Forsaken from the line and pull it in, but for some reason decided to leave the rest. He's finally moving them now. The rest of the Forsaken going to get in here. Looks like they just wanted to take a couple free shots from these Goblin Archers just to prove how manly they in fact are, man. Chaos, manly, manly chaos. Take a couple arrows for the Chaos Gods. But, I mean, the rest of it so far, by the way, this cavalry fight, this cavalry troll fight on the left-hand flank is not going very well for the Chaos Warriors here.
No, and they're even messing up over here as well because they got kind of charged by the Greenskins and they did not reply, so they had to pull out, losing even more HP, I think. So definitely some mistakes by Houseplant here, like some weird decisions. Again, like we saw in that one game in your invitational tournament against
Yeah.
Panda, the first game that he lost in that tournament in group stage.
Yes.
So
Yeah, yeah, where he
it
just kind of
looks like
stood there.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's very, very true. This is the second time we've seen that from Panda Warrior, where some of his units just aren't doing what they're supposed to, getting killed for free by the likes of Archer units. Yeah, it's certainly, man. I think you're very, very right in that analysis, and it harkens back to that game, the kind of odd play that we really don't expect out of Panda, or sorry, out of Houseplant, who is typically a lot more on point with his micro and the like.
We see the Spirit Leech exchange happening. Both Azak and the Chaos Lord getting Spirit Leech, but
Yeah.
Azag is in a better shape right now. But once the Spirit Leech is over, he should be getting on lower HP. There we go. His HP is already low, very low. He might be able to Spirit Leech though. Once again.
Yeah, looks like he's going to try to get one more off. That's all he needs. There it is. He gets the Spirit Leech off. That is perfect timing right there. He, of course, still has... he may still get Spirit Leech as the Chaos Sorcerer of Death is still available. So some of these fights, I guess, ostensibly won by Chaos here on this flank. But there's not a lot of dwarves... not a lot of dwarves. There's not a lot of orcs over there right now. But I just don't think that right now that Chaos has enough to win this battle, man. He's got a couple units of just absolutely savaged... Forsaken, a nearly dead unit of Chaos Knights, and in the meantime, I mean, what do we the orcs, man? The orcs still have this crunchy unit of orc biggins that have barely fought at all, and that will make it into the fight very soon.
But that Goblin Big Boss holding 4 units right now, pretty crazy unit. Meanwhile, it's allowing the archers to fire in that blob, so very nice
certainly, man.
there. Yeah, but look, this is so weird. Like Houseplant's general survived. Barely, but with the overcast Spirit Leech, he was able to kill the Greenskins general. Really impressive.
Yeah, very close. A good decision making there, to be sure, man. Just using that, kind of keeping an eye on that kind of general on general fight, and making sure that he also adds the Spirit Leeches into the Azag fight, because it's not always easy to be aware of that as a player, especially when the guy that's fighting is not your wizard, but is instead some other random asshole.
But still, Chaos is actually winning, despite those, despite us calling Houseplant out on some of his earlier mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like, I don't know how the hell this happened, because I thought he lost both flanks. Both of those cavalry flanks, I was under the impression were actually lost by Houseplant here, but somehow he comes back. I mean, there is the troll regeneration, by the way, really coming into the fore. They rout, yes, and they make you lose the fight that you really wanted to win, but sooner or later they come back, and if you've been doing okay, I mean, merely okay on the rest of the battlefield, they'll come back with a decent amount of health and a lot of hitting power, and will certainly be able to challenge the might of these Black Orc Biggins, or these Orc Biggins over here.
Ulda is really frustrated that Houseplant's general survived with the 5 HP. And that's probably why Houseplant, or at least the big reason why Houseplant was able to win this game. Because had his general died and Ulda not lost his, this could have, again, looked potentially different for sure.
Yeah, no, certainly. But Asamu points out that Asamu points out that they regen back to half HP after being dead. Yeah, basically, man, they had next to no health and they regen all the way up. Very good. And yes, the Beastmen are going to be interesting as they have no armor, and Bretonnian archers will be very dangerous to them, I'm sure. Native Ammontok also certainly going to be a big threat. By the way, the last battles look like it's going to be shaping up here. Just trying to consolidate his forces right now is Houseplant. But just 2 units of Orc Biggins left, and of course Houseplant with that impeccable micro now, making sure that he has units on all sides to be able to engage these guys.
Yeah, but the timing is slightly off. These guys a little bit too late, but it shouldn't really matter. He has enough for sure.
Yeah, and these Chaos Knight rear charges, of course, going to be absolutely devastating on the likes of these orcs. Without Azag, without the morale support that they really want, that they really need, they're going to break very rapidly. Already broken here on the upper part of that battle, and now in the lower part, there they go. The last of the orcs taken down, and Ulda looks like defeated right there.
Yeah, and he was really sad that he couldn't snipe Houseplant's general.
It was so close, man. Yes. It was so close. I think, by the way, also, really, even if Wolf had managed to snipe that general, it should not have made a difference, because I think that if Houseplant had been a lot more on top of his Forsaken and had just charged them into the fight early on, as opposed to letting them just get continually barraged by those arrows, I think Houseplant probably would have easily and handily won this game, seeing as he won it, even with the disadvantages. What do you think, TPP?
I think so, but one thing I want to point out is, Ulda, please, Black Orcs.
Yeah.
But maybe he was preparing for next patch, like to eliminate Black Orcs out of the meta. Even though with their new price, people will still surely bring them.
You got to, man. You got to. Even if they go up to like 1,200, I think people are going to continue to take Black Orcs, because they are They are just very, very good. Maybe 1,200 is a bit much. But yeah, not bad at all. We see very good use of Chaos Knights with Lances. I mean, despite the fact that they look like they got absolutely owned in the beginning, it looks like that was not so. And yeah, a lot of this was on Goblin kills, but the fact that they stayed alive till the end of the battle and were able to support the Trolls there at the very end to take those last 2 units of Orc Biggins down, very, very essential there. But otherwise, that's about it, man. A little bit of poor micro from Houseplant, but he still manages to pull it out, getting some good engagements, and of course, really wrapping up the end game there quite handily, quite cleanly.
Yeah, I mean, you can see those Orc Biggins were kind of the units that lost him the game, which is weird to say.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
didn't really
yeah, yeah.
do what they didn't really get kills or enough kills to make them worth it.
Yeah, very true, man. I mean, the Biggins just don't match up well against the likes of the Forsaken. And here's I think there's an even larger problem here. Like taking Biggins against Chaos in general, is that I mean, the Biggins are good against large, but are very bad against Chaos Warriors as well as Forsaken. And so, I mean, it makes you question whether they should be mainline, if that's the
No.
case, right? Because if the main line of Chaos is definitely going to be either Forsaken or Chaos Warriors, and if your main line is bad against both of those troops, it makes you kind of question your decisions coming into the battle.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect them to bring Orc Biggins, of course, but
Oh, of
more as
course, yeah.
supporting units instead.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I think you're quite right. Yeah, exactly. They should definitely. I mean, Orc Bacon's not a bad choice, not a bad choice at all. But usually 2 to 4, as opposed to getting an entire main line of them. And you sprinkle in with those black orcs to really be able to hold your center, to be able to to not only
Yeah.
carry that armor on their backs, but also to rip it off of their enemies.
So, yep, that's game one, I believe. Since you said that this is a best of three, we'll have at least one more game, potentially two. And fortunately, this game didn't lag as much as I expected it to.
Yeah, it actually is the fact that as you kind of go in this merry-go-round, you can always hide in the woods and take less damage from your missile launching enemy.
Okay, so Empire versus Empire. And before we actually get going with the builds, Houseplant messaged me, "You're gonna be watching me for the rest of the tourney." So I suppose he's got that confidence going.
Oh right, yeah.
Yes.
It looks like he does. Looks like he does. I mean, he has the confidence, but what has he brought? Tell me, what has he brought?
Okay, so I was looking at all this build. I need to go over to the Red Empire. So we have looks like this is Scout France or General of the Empire. I lost the General. He moved it. Damn. Okay, here's the Lord. It is just a regular General of the Empire on the Griffin.
Yep.
And we see a Bright Wizard on horseback. Interesting choice. Pretty cool. I like it. It's very nice for buffing demis or greatswords. Then
Yep.
we have looks like 2 demiglyphs with halberds on the right flank and 1 on the left flank. So quite the strong cap force. We also see an Empire Knight in the center, 2 spearmen on each flank. Actually, no, 2 on the right, 1 on the left. So I lied. Then we have a bunch of these great swords up front. No, I lied again. 4 swordsmen and only 1 great sword in the back. And also, interestingly enough, 2 crossbowmen on the field.
Yeah, interesting indeed, man. Like, the fact that he is going for that very, very strong cavalry force, we're seeing that more often now. Now that demigryphs are not so limited as they once were. But I worry about this main line. I mean, it remains to be seen how long these swordsmen can hold against the likes of the forces of our other player, Ulda, here, with all of the great swords that he has. But it's going to be the cavalry that are really going to probably decide this matchup. Good thing, though. Very, very good thing, as Ulda has decided to hide in the forest. Is going to reduce the amount of damage, the effectiveness of those demigryph cavalry. By the way, what has Ulda brought? What has he brought? He has decided to bring, looks like 4 units of greatsword, a single unit of spears, 2 units of demigryph with halberd, along with a single unit of Reichsguard. Everybody charging right now, by the way. Looks like Houseplant actually getting a little bit of a better charge, also casting a cascading fire cloak in on his demigryphs, just really shredding the opponent's demigryphs. That armor-piercing damage really coming into the fore here, and already Ulda's demigryphs are next to dead.
Wow, that was massive, down to 8 HP, and now he's gonna pull out, and yeah, he's gonna lose some of his demis, but that's definitely a good trade for him. And at the beginning I thought, oh wow, he is massively overextending, but
Yeah.
no, it actually worked out just fine. He was able to kill a lot of those demis before support came in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the problem that we saw here coming out of Ulda is he tries to charge his own demis through the back of his own units, which really slowed them right the hell down, and made it so that they couldn't get the engagement with the demigryphs at the same time. So not only did the opposing demigryphs have the cascading fire cloak that buffed them up, but they also both hit the opposing demis in a better charge than the demis of Ulda got. The mainline battle is starting up here, though, guys. The swordsmen are not going to match up very nicely at all against the likes of the greatswords, though. But only one swordsman in combat as of yet. The rest of the swordsmen waiting back here.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that Ulda will definitely have the advantage in terms of melee, and this is why he's trying to engage as fast as he can into melee. This means that Houseplant has to use both his missile advantage and his cav advantage right now to try and get some rear charges onto the greatswords. And smartly, Houseplant is actually, it's like, nope, I'm not going to engage your greatswords. I'm going to kite away and get my cavalry into position to go for potential rear charges like onto that one greatsword unit that's very vulnerable right now.
No, that's a very, very good point, man, and that's exactly what what Houseplant is looking to do. I mean, Ulda, of course, had a very good idea here. Here's like, hey, look, I know he has a lot more cavalry than me. The best way, the easiest way that I can stay safe is to stay inside the kind of confines of this forest. Not only does missiles do less damage, but also the cavalry will do significantly less damage. But he also needed to engage those guys, like you said, so he chases them out there. And of course, the one thing that that Houseplant has going for him, one of the many things that Houseplant has going for him, is the fact that if he does pull out here, not only do his other units become more effective as they fight on the open ground, but also that allows the cavalry to come all the way over, as of course the Ulda cannot respond nearly as fast to these engagements as the kind of more numerous cavalry of Houseplant can.
And Houseplant actually misused an ability. He popped Cascading Fire Cloak on that one unit that is very low on HP, so just 7 models soon will rout. Instead of buffing the unit next to it, which has a lot more models, and could have done significantly more damage had Cascading Fire Cloak been on it. But however, Houseplant doing very well here. He's getting rid of that Demigryph, he's getting rid of these greatswords. These 2 units for Ulda were definitely out of position, and Houseplant took advantage of that. Meanwhile, he pretty much did a similar thing on the other flank with the spearmen, and I believe it was a Reichsguard or something. Yeah, I see the unit coming back into the fight.
Yeah, the Reichsguard trying to get back into the fight, but yes, the cavalry forces of Houseplant did manage to break through this left-hand side of Ulda's forces here. Of course, Ulda, he's trying. He needs to get his guys back into covering this right-hand flank, as that right-hand flank is all that is left to stop his last and probably most essential unit of greatswords here in the forest from killing this one last unit of Empire Knights, which is honestly essential at this point. He needs to finish this fight in a favorable way if he's going to win the rest of this match.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that Ulda's definitely won the center. Meanwhile, he lost on both of his flanks, and that's because he won the center because he was only up against swordsmen for the most part, which were unsupported. It was great swords versus swordsmen, so that's an easy win for Ulda. Meanwhile, on the flanks, Houseplant was actually able to support his swordsmen with other units, which is why he won those flanks so decisively that we still can't call the game. It's still quite close. Yeah.
Still close. I mean, I think at this point, I think it is very, very close, and maybe a kind of a bad move to a certain extent. And was very, very essential for Ulda was to kind of win that center fight, pull the rest of his meager troops into that fight to fend away the likes of these spearmen and the swordsmen that were there. But maybe a mistake here by Houseplant was pouring the units that won this flank fight into this battle and then not taking them out in time, because he basically sacked a unit of Demigryph Knights as well as his own Empire Knights to that central battle, and then very, very handily lost it. And now what does he have left to fight? He doesn't have a lot of very sturdy foot troops, and he has to rely on the likes of these kind of weaker swordsmen and the buffs of his bright wizard to win his fights for him.
Yeah, there's a weird engagement over here. This is definitely going in Houseplant's favor, because we have like 2 Demigryphs fighting against each other, but Houseplant has the great sword support, which is massive, and yes, the Reichsguard is coming in, but it's not going to be able to finish off that great sword. So Houseplant's got a very good engagement happening over there, and these crossbowmen being annoying, yes, but we have that Empire Captain who's gonna do damage to them, but still, before they are routed off the field by the Empire Captain, crossbowmen is still gonna do quite the damage.
Yeah, still going to do it. And it looks like the Empire Captain actually not not satisfied with trying to kill those crossbows anymore. I don't think that's the right move. I think he should probably just go right back into there and try to stop those crossbows from firing, as they are doing a heinous amounts of damage on those Empire troops, especially these greatswords here. Yeah, they have a lot of armor, but because they don't have shields, they really do take it hard from the likes of the crossbows. Also, another cascading fire cloak, by the way, going down on these Empire troops, continuing to reinforce them, continuing to just buff them up. And of course, as finally a demigryph charge to the rear here, they have come back, just barely pulled out in time with the spearmen with shields to kind of halt that demigryph advance, by the way. But Karl Franz here clearly proving to be the right choice. The melee monster is actually turning a lot of these fights around single-handedly for Ulda.
Yeah, and he is still alive. He still has plenty of HP compared to Houseplant, which, again, Houseplant, his general still lives barely with around 490 HP. So he is, again, a bit fortunate in that regard. But the Empire Captain seems to have an attacker on him, I believe. Yeah, he's going to be chasing the general. But Houseplant's general does actually route off the field. Should come back, though.
Yeah, he is routing right now. And meanwhile, you know, Karl Franz is in this battle here with these beleaguered greatswords, trying to fend off the last of these spearmen. Almost dead here. Looks like the spearmen and those swordsmen in that little fight will rout. Really, though, the main problem, the real big issue for Ulda right now is the annoyance of these crossbowmen at full health, still pelting these guys with a fair amount of kills as well. 17 on one unit of crossbowmen, 14 on the other. It's not a huge amount, but that HP damage coming in is certainly real.
It really looks like it's going to be in Ulda's favor just because of his Lord. With his Lord alone, he can take out isolated units, and perhaps he could terrorize these units here and just force them to be routed off the field because they're so low, and we are seeing that right now.
Yeah, now Karl Franz is no Luan Leonke, but actually Karl Franz, I believe, is better in melee combat than Luan is. Yes, he does not have the regeneration, but he has massive amounts of attack damage, of course. He has the armor piercing. Very effective against all types of troops. And the fireball. Just cooking some chicken here, man. A little bit of demigryph fry, but not enough damage to actually kill him. And of course, Karl Franz continuing to do that damage out against these weakened swordsmen.
Oh, here he comes again.
Ooh,
the barbecue is real.
Wow, the barbecue is real, but so is the Deathclaw, man. The Deathclaw, he does not need any of this shit coming out of the Bright Wizard and will absolutely ruin him. He actually has succeeded in shattering him, and that is it. No more Empire forces left here for a Houseplant.
Oh, wow. So Ulda actually takes the game off of Houseplant. Very well done, I suppose. And the great swords really carried him, as you can see here. They just destroyed all those swordsmen.
Yep. I think, so, I mean, primary factors that won Ulda the game, or maybe lost Houseplant. What you got, TPP?
Well, Houseplant, he had the right idea, which was to deny the engagement in the center, but I think he possibly didn't deny it for long enough, and he misused his Lord as well, I think, because he shouldn't have gotten him so low, and he was also fighting near the end, I believe, both the Empire Captain and Karl Franz. So that was not an engagement that he wanted to take. What he should have done is, once he saw Karl Franz coming for him, he should have ran away and tried to look for another engagement, or pulled Karl Franz into an unfavorable engagement or something.
I mean, so Karl Franz certainly proved to be incredibly useful in this battle. He not only went very much better one-on-one against the likes of the Empire General, but also went ahead and just smashed the rest of the... every time he supported a fight, that fight won. Right? Even the ones that were about to lose, he supports the fight, and they end up winning those battles. And that's so important in these mirror matches, to win individual engagements. And again, I think you're very right. He didn't do enough denying that center engagement. I think it was a very good idea by Houseplant. You saw earlier in the battle, he takes his troops and he pulls them back further and further out of the forest, because, hey, look, he's got the cavalry advantage, he's got the speed advantage. As long as he holds onto that, he has a lot more mobility than his opponent. And having that ability, he can kind of go back and forth and have a long, spread out battle line, along with demigryphs continually charge into, right? That is a damn good plan. But unfortunately, he took that plan and then kind of threw it away when it came to that center fight in the forest. The one where he lost, looks like 2 units of demigryph as well as a unit of Empire Knights. He didn't need to pour those guys into the fight. The spearmen were going to die anyway. There was no need to put his cavalry in that fight for the win. But instead, he pours everything into it, and that forces Ulda to win that fight. And Ulda, of course, has so many great swords around. The Forest is minus 20% damage to large. He has Karl Franz right there. He wins it, breaks all of that really useful cavalry from Houseplant, and then proceeds to win the game off the backs of his very sturdy greatswords.
Yeah, I mean, Houseplant got a very nice engagement in the beginning, though. Like,
Yeah,
doing
he did.
so
He did.
much damage to a Demigryph unit, almost nullifying that unit from the get-go. But then he misused Cascading Firecloak once when
Yep.
there were two. He probably misclicked.
Yep.
But I hope he did, because otherwise there's no reason to use Cascading Firecloak on a unit on a Demigryph with 7 men compared to a Demigryph with like 18. So
Sure.
he definitely misplayed right there. Probably was a misclick, but did end up making a difference there. So
certainly making a difference, and maybe not costing him the game, but making a big enough difference to where, you know, if it was a little bit closer, it was very close, but it was a little bit closer, may have been it. As Houseplant fixes internet, Tope 21, and I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe we'll do like just you need some scalpel-like precision when you're playing Bretonnia versus Bretonnia, because it is a tight game 9 times out of 10. So what do we got here? Over the red Bretonians here being brought in by Houseplant. A very solid line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units of Spearmen, 6 units of Archers, 2 units of Knights of the Realm, 2 units of Peg Knights, Loen on his people key. As well as a unit of Peg Knights, and then last but not least, a damsel not in distress, but instead on a pony. Nice saddle that she has there. Actually looks like rather uncomfortable saddle. Oh well, fair enough. She's riding that, and a little bit of an atypical choice, but I definitely think will be very useful in that B on B matchup. What do we have for the
you
other?
said 1 Pegasus Knight, but he has 3, right?
2 Pegasus Knights, I believe. Oh no, 3 Pegasus Knights. You are
Yes.
very right. Yeah, 3 units of Pegasus Knights. Very heavy on the air cavalry here. What do we have for the other Bretonian player?
Okay, so for Ulda, wow, he's got a blob going. I have no idea what he's got.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea what he has.
Okay, well, I can certainly say that he has Luan, of course. Who wouldn't
He does
bring
indeed.
Luan in Bretonnia versus Bretonnia? It would be crazy. We see a Paladin on a Pegasus, and only 1 Pegasus Knight, which could be a problem. This means that he certainly has an air inferiority, for sure.
Yeah, he definitely does. And what makes me nervous is that right now Luan is getting closer and closer to the enemy here. You know, it may be that he wants to be able to get into combat right away as those 2 lines meet, but as those Pegasus Knights and the opposing Luan comes over, just sneaking in, I am very nervous for the chances of Luan and this other Paladin to survive this air-to-air combat.
I mean, definitely, it looks like his money was spent in cab, because he has knights, like a couple Knights of the Realm and Grail Knights, and here comes the engagement. Bye Ulda, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he has a single unit of archers out here, by the way, but they are not going to probably, I would not guess that they're going to be enough. Curse the Midnight Wind also going off on the likes of the Ulda's troops here. Ulda definitely going to lose this fight, doesn't matter what he does. Curse the Midnight Wind, too strong, command, too strong by far.
Yeah, so we have this single unit of Pegasus Knights running away, and now Ulda's general is left alone. Well, he has a unit of Paladins, a single Paladin supporting him, but that really isn't gonna be enough. And Curse of the Midnight Wind on actually Houseplant's units this time around, but it's not gonna make the difference.
Yeah, it's not going to make a difference. It's a little too late probably at this point. Right now, we do see some decent charges from the Knights, but they didn't pull out quite fast enough from their charges on the Spearmen. Not a bad idea, by the way, getting these Knights to charge into the Spearmen, but unfortunately, 2 things happen. First, he didn't pull out fast enough, and second, he is getting absolutely reamed by these archers, just focus firing the Knights down, and the Knights will be dead very, very soon. Oh man, you know, I actually fear a little bit for the chances of Ulda here, as he's already sacked a lot of his kind of superior cavalry to the Spearmen, to the Archers, but he has these Grail Knights actually sweeping the Archers up, man, going right up their flank. A beautiful, beautiful move here by the Grail Knights. They are probably going to die, but my god, are they going to do damage before they go down.
Yeah, they've only got 30 kills, and yeah, they're gonna rout these peasants, but the thing is, they're all probably gonna come back, so I'm not quite sure. At least they're disrupting a lot of units for Houseplant, which is good, and we have the lightning go off on Spearman, not being too efficient, I suppose. Meanwhile, the fight is still happening over here. This is quite crazy.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I think Houseplant is misplaying this right now. He is not realizing that all there's left is the Paladin. In the meantime, the Peasant Bowmen are getting a lot of free damage on these Peg Knights, and if he wants to win, if Houseplant wants to win this game, he has got to get his Peg Knights into the rear of these Spearmen ASAP, because his line is totally broken now. They are retreating. What he has left are these Peasant Bowmen up near the top, but what is happening with the Peasant Bowmen? They are getting just taught lessons, man. Taught fucking lessons by these Knights of the Realm.
Yeah, so this is essentially a rush build from Ulda because he just had like one peasant bowman. So I think Houseplant definitely misplayed this. He should have left his infantry further behind in the beginning. He's still probably gonna end up winning this, but he's playing it a little bit risky right now. As long as he kills the cav, he can just use Luan to his heart's content essentially.
Yeah, certainly. And, you know, Luan, yeah, definitely will be a huge factor in this. And, yeah, the being the opposite Luan, not having a whole lot of health right now. Looks like he's going to dive back into combat, has half health. Actually, the Grail Knights also getting into this combat. Everybody deciding to get in here. The poor 2 units of peasants that were originally there got sandwiched and absolutely trashed. Got fucked up beyond repair here. Curse of the Midnight Wind also going down, by the way. Really going to reduce the effectiveness of Ulda's Bretonnian troops here. Probably going to lose that fight just because of the efforts of that single Curse of the Midnight Wind.
Yeah, we have Paladin coming in and still like 2 further Spearman units coming in, and as well as this 1 Spear unit. So that's a lot of the units Ulda is committing, and it might actually help him turn that fight around, believe it or not.
I think it is. I think it is. I mean, I don't think the Pegasus Knights, man. The Pegasus Knights very effective on the charge, but my God, do they not? They really, where they don't want to be, their least favorite place in the world is inside the middle of a bunch of Spearmen. Curse the Midnight Wind, by the way, also going down for Ulda on top of Houseplant's troops. Loen Leon Kurtz, really, he's going to fall if he doesn't watch it. He is definitely going to fall if he doesn't watch it. Trapped in here by the likes of these Knights, and so a lot of mass just kind of disallowing him from moving out, man.
Oh, this is really bad for House. He's gonna end up throwing this game.
He certainly is. I mean, if Luan dies, everything is over here. Everything is over. The Luan Ulda, by the way, still has quite a lot of health. Certainly needs to engage the Luan of Houseplant right now. And these archers over here getting a little bit more damage in. Going to need to be taken care of, but plenty of cavalry on Ulda's side to be able to take care of that little problem.
And nicely done here by Ulda, taking on the isolated units with one that's very easy for him to do. And it's funny how it turned around though. Like Ulda's Lord now has more HP than Houseplant's. And does he though? Like, I need to check. Yeah, he does. So it's gonna be good for Ulda. That bow fire may turn it around, but I don't think so.
Harmonic convergence going down on the general of Houseplant here. That is probably going to help out a little bit, but the Paladin charge is going to take out the other Luan. The second Luan probably going to go down to these Pegasus Knights in here, just getting inside, trying to do as much damage as they can. Stick him with the spears, boys. Get him, get him.
Yeah, hero Peg Knights.
Yeah, hero Peg Knights, man. Oh my God, it's so close. It is so close. Luan with next to no health. He's probably going to rout off the field at this point. Maybe this Dams are going to try to get a Urandan's Thunderbolt on him. We will see. We will see. Comet of Cassandora, man. Skill shot coming in soon, I'm sure.
He's trying to chase him.
He's trying. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. By the way, over on the other side of the field, we see that the cavalry forces of Ulda basically able to very easily clean up the rest of the infantry here that is left for Houseplant. And then Ulda with the win, man. With the win. I like it. I like it. And I like the army list that Ulda brought. I liked his play. And really just leveraging what Bretonnia does best, and that is cavalry.
Yeah, so it's an interesting trade-off that he went for. So he chose to basically give away air superiority to Houseplant.
Yeah.
And in return, he went for a rush on the ground because I suppose he expected Houseplant to bring so many bowmen, which is why we have all that cavalry, and they just ripped those bowmen to pieces, and the spearmen then soon followed after with some nice rear charges from Ulda. So yeah, as you mentioned, cavalry here won the game for Ulda, but honestly, Houseplant lost this game from the very beginning because of one reason. Like, the moment he realized that he has air superiority, all he needs to do is he needs to go snipe the enemy lord and keep his army in the back. And after he sniped the enemy lord, he can then much more easily return to his troops, which have not yet engaged, and give support, which would have won him the game, I think. But still very, very quite a close game still.
And something I think that we have to mention is that Houseplant lost basically all of his Peg Knights, right? Most of the health on all of his Peg Knights for 0 return,
Yeah.
right? 3 Peg Knights and his own Luan killed 1 unit of Peg Knights and did half damage to Luan, right? It's just absolutely not worth it. And, you know, to think, you know, his archers, he had these 6 archers, right? Of course, incredibly vulnerable to the likes of cavalry. And so he takes these 2 Knights of the Realm, he puts them on the flank in an effort to stop the cavalry of Ulda getting into his archers, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't enough support there, and the cavalry of Ulda very, very effectively, very easily. I mean, you know, you only have 1 unit guarding each flank of these archers. It's a pretty simple matter to just go right past them and right into the archers, and that is where the Pegasus Knights should have been. You know, if you're not going to kill Luan anyway, right? If you see that you're not going to be able to kill that guy, get your Pegasus Knights the hell out of that fight, because it's not worth killing 1 paladin. You know, to have all 3 Pegasus Knights involved in some random fight in some other part of the battlefield, and instead get them to, you know, block charges that are trying to go in on your archers. And if he had those 3 Peg Knights, I think he would have been very much able to have those archers survive for long enough to do more significant damage on the forces of Ulda, and then eventually win that battle that he was kind of doing pretty well in the beginning anyway.
I mean, I think this was... I still think that this was Houseplant's game
Yeah,
to
yeah,
win
I think so too.
because of his build, but like he just didn't play it well at all.
Yeah,
I think,
there
which
was
is very, very unfortunate, very disappointing.
Yeah, certainly. No, I definitely think so too. Maybe, you know, I'm gonna probably chalk up the loss to one single moment, and that is going to be where he took his, you know, he had charged Luan Leonka, right, and the Paladin, and everybody was in that air fight, and Luan of Ulda backs out, he escapes,
Yeah.
right, but for some reason Houseplant just kind of doubles down and keeps everybody in that fight just to kill the Paladin.
Yeah, that's true.
You
He
know,
should have chased. He
Luan.
should have chased Luan with
Yeah.
with at least like a Peg Knight or something to make
Well, he
sure
should've-
that he doesn't come back or he's finished
Yep.
off. Not even with his own Luan. He didn't need to send his own Luan.
Yeah.
He's just sent something, some air
I mean,
unit.
If you have a plan, stick with it, right? You know, stick with it. He had the air superiority. Luan could have died, but because he was of a particularly forgiving nature, Luan does survive and does come back, and really come back and allow him to win the game, and it's to a certain extent. Yeah, great match by the Mastiff. Yeah, no lag for Houseplant. That is too bad. Wouldn't that have been amazing? So it looks like Achilles, by the way, going up against...
Ooh, Achilles 1-2 against Diplomat. Nice.
All right, I'm going to get us into the